Hello, my name's John, I'm the Geeky Fanboy, and welcome to Better Late Than Never, the series in which I review movies that are either classics but I haven't seen yet, or I talk about movies that I wasn't able to see during their initial release hype, but kind of want to talk about anyway, and today I'm finally talking about Venom. So I was actually quite excited to see Venom when I saw the first trailer. I loved it. I was really thrilled and looking forward to seeing the movie. Alas, I wasn't able to see it when it initially came out, but a couple of days ago I finally seen it, and I kind of want to talk about it because there has been a lot of talk and discussion about this movie, that it's not really good and that it kind of feels like an early 2000s superhero movie. So I just thought I'd throw in my thoughts here. So I can honestly say my initial reaction when I finished the movie was, yeah, it was okay. I liked it. Like it's really nearly not as bad as a lot of people make it out to be. Like, sure, it isn't like wow, brilliant, fantastic, but it's also not that bad. Like some people who said this is like the worst movie they've ever seen or the worst movie that came out in 2018. I honestly can't say that. I mean, sure, the movie has its faults in the writing and editing department and all that, and there were some scenes that seemed a bit odd when you watched them, but I thought that was alright. Like, it didn't make me go, oh, this movie is now bad, now I don't want to watch it anymore. Like, the only thing that kind of came to my mind while I was watching is that some of the action scenes either went on for too long. Like the car chase in the middle of the movie was a bit too long, in my opinion, and sometimes there were like too many action scenes one after another. Like when you have Eddie fighting for the first time with Venom in his flat, and then right after that you basically have the car chase. So sometimes that was a bit uh, too much for me. And well, I also thought it takes a bit too long until Eddie and Venom like bond, because I think it takes like 30 minutes, maybe even more, until Eddie and the symbiote really bond, and you have the whole shtick of him hearing a voice and all that. So I thought they could have maybe introduced that a bit earlier so we had more of the fun dynamic between the two. Which brings me directly to the jam of this movie, Eddie Brock and Venom. The dynamic is so hilariously fantastic. It works so well, and that's actually what a lot of people complimented when they watched the movie. That they did actually really enjoy the chemistry between those two characters, and I really kind of like that Eddie, before he meets Venom, so to speak, is this classic like upbeat sort of guy who thinks he's a bit better than everyone else and wants to fight the bad corporate guy and so on. But as soon as he like loses his fiance, his job, and he becomes a wreck, you see what this guy really is like, and I kind of enjoyed this downbeaten version of Eddie Brock and how confused, utterly confused he is when he starts hearing Venom's voice and they start fighting together for the first time. I thought that was really, really cool that you had this upbeat, well, if you can say like that, character of Venom who was basically really fine with everything and adjusted rather well to the whole situation. You had Eddie just being there, not knowing what the hell is going on and freaking out. So I thought those two dynamics worked really well together. Yeah, I liked Eddie in general anyway. Also because just Tom Hardy is brilliant. I love Tom Hardy as an actor. Like as soon as he's in a role, I'm like, I'm probably gonna like this guy. And yeah, like I said, I like the change in character he kind of goes through, and I do actually really like that Eddie throughout the rest of the movie is a bit is a bit wimpy and kind of just along for the ride, even though he doesn't really want to do anything. So I did actually kind of like that because it did feel refreshing in a sort of way. Because if you would have kept him the same as he was during the first couple of minutes in the movie, it would have just been the same trope of, you know, the cool upbeat guy who knows how everything's going and who thinks he's better than everyone else. And I think you all know who I'm talking about, so I like that they kind of changed that. I also like most of the other characters in the movie. I liked his fiance and then ex-fiance because I really enjoyed how she reacts to Venom, or the existence of Venom, that she sure is surprised and shocked, but relatively quickly she's like, okay, so this guy is inside you, he's talking to you, what's he telling you? Like, I like how cool she was with everything pretty quickly. And then she actually got kind of upset that she wasn't allowed to fight the bad guy in the end. And I also kind of like her new boyfriend, because you kind of expect the new boyfriend to be a complete douchebag and you expect to hate him because, you know, he took Eddie's girl away, so to speak. But no, he's a nice guy and he gets along with Eddie and Eddie kind of gets along with him, and he honestly wants to help Eddie when he sees that he's not feeling well. So I thought that was really neat. And I also like that at the end Eddie doesn't get his fiance back. Like that's not how it works. You only have that one moment where he goes to her flat to kind of get her back, sort of, but as soon as she says no, he's like, okay, yeah, that's it, I can't really do anything about it. And when he honestly apologizes to her, it feels warranted, like, and it's not that he does it in order to get her back, he just apologizes because that's what he has to do, because he hasn't done it yet, and it feels honest. And I like that at the end, he talks to her and Venom says, oh, I'll get her back, but he doesn't get her back at that point during the story, and I like that. And I like that there honestly isn't this classic love story you would expect, you know, with him losing his girlfriend and then trying to win her back throughout the movie. That doesn't happen, and I thought that was really nice. Speaking of romance story, a lot of people kind of said that it's a bit like that it's like a romantic comedy with Eddie and Venom, and an alarming amount of people started shipping those two. And I mean, yeah, I guess I can kind of see it. And I mean, like, their dynamic is the best in the entire movie, so I can kind of understand that. And I mean, in a way, they do make out in the movie, even though it's she-Venom, but it's still the Venom you knew from before. It did feel a bit strange, but also in a good sort of way. Oh, and a lot of people also, I think, complained about the bad guy, but I honestly can't say that, because, like, he is your standard bad guy, and I actually even kind of liked him in the first couple of minutes, because they do go out of their way to show that he actually is this nice, polite guy. You know, I really like the scene when he talks to the group of kids and how he deals with them, and it never feels like he's doing this for show, or like he's being fake nice or fake polite. He doesn't feel like that, and it honestly feels like he wants to, you know, bring this technology to a point where he wants to help people. It's just that his perception of how this should work, or how he tries to achieve his goals, is obviously, well, not very nice. And I mean, sure, towards the end he becomes this sort of standard bad guy when he bonds with the other symbiote, and you have your battle between Venom and the other symbiote. I mean, sure, that's like classic, standard superhero stuff you would honestly expect. So I wasn't really disappointed when the whole story kind of drifted towards that direction, because that's what happens in those kinds of movies. So to wrap this all up, I enjoyed the movie. Sure, it isn't perfect, but I also didn't expect this to be like Avengers or Captain America. I didn't expect it to be like that, and I also I also bet this isn't what the movie tries to be. It's just trying to be this fun, entertaining movie that sure is a bit odd in some places, or yeah, a bit clunky, maybe a bit cheesy, but it in my opinion, it's your classic standard superhero movie with very entertaining performances and some great character chemistry. Writing that's honestly okay, sure, could have been better, and the editing could have been better in some places, but I honestly don't get why people say this is like the worst movie to come out this year or the worst superhero movie ever. Um, I can honestly say that I would probably prefer watching Venom to some of the early Marvel MCU movies, or like because it's a movie that entertains you for a good 2 hours and you just have fun and you laugh and a lot happens you can look at and you don't have to concentrate too much. You just have fun time, and this is what I expected from this movie, and I do hope that they will make a second movie because they can improve on the problems in writing and editing they now had in the first one. But I really want to see Tom Hardy return, especially, and all the other characters. And they have this teaser at the end with Carnage that honestly looks pretty thrilling. Like I want them to make a second movie so I can see what they do with Carnage. So I do hope that don't they don't listen to like the bad reviews, so to speak. And as far as I know, the movie made enough money to so they kind of can go ahead and make a second movie. So I do hope we will get one in the future. So those were my thoughts on Venom. Did you watch the movie when it initially came out? What were your thoughts? Did you maybe also actually like it, or do you hate the movie? I mean, there are a lot of people who do, and I can kind of understand them. Do tell me in the comments below, I would love to hear from you. I hope you enjoyed this review, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.